Buonasera a tutti. Welcome at the Italian Cultural Institute. This is the fourth of the series of conversations conducted by Maria Teresa Cometto with Italian managers of important American company, organized by the Institute together with the Consulate of Italy here in New York. And I ask for the first things, the Consul General Francesco Genuardi to say something about our collaboration on this project and to say a welcome to you all, please.
Thank you, Director. Thank you, Giorgio. I'm very pleased and honored to be here tonight for this further conference in the framework of this beautiful cycle of conferences, as you said, about top Italian managers in the US, in New York. Let me praise the Director for this initiative that has the full support, as he said, of the Consulate General of Italy, of all the Italian institutions in New York. I think it's important for the New York audiences made of Italian Americans and Italian lovers from New York to have this opportunity to have first-hand information from this conversation between Maria Teresa Cometto, and today we have the privilege of having here Fabrizio Freda. It's a true privilege. I know how difficult it is to have you here in New York between your flights to Tokyo, Singapore, Paris, and Los Angeles. So we are very lucky, and I think it's for us, for the audience, it's a good opportunity to strengthen our Italian pride when we hear your story, and also to have your example as an inspiration for the new generations. It's not a coincidence that this event takes place in the Istituto Italiano di Cultura, because I think that this conference will help to understand better how strong is your humanistic education, your technical background, and how you were educated in Naples, if I'm not wrong.
Absolutely
Liceo
right.
And university. So it's really, I think this conference will show the Italian way to head the global international business. Here we have another great personality, and this unique mix made of creativity, flexibility, and a global approach, because we often say that Italy is a very introverted country, but also we have a natural, I think, vocation for a global presence in the world, each one of us. I'm sure that the brilliant conversation you will have with Maria Teresa will make come out all these aspects. And let me conclude by saying that I'm sure that also a very specific thing will come out of this debate. One of your big assets, I would say, weapon of mass destruction is your being Napolitan. And this is a very specific thing. And
I thought it was an inspiration.
That I could define it in two words. It's a kind of a strategic fatalism that is not a way to underrate problems, but to put them in the right context, and this unique capacity that Napolitans have to grasp complexity and to turn it into simplicity. Grazie, and enjoy. Grazie.
Thank you, Francesco. As I said before, this is a series of conversations that we started with Luca Maestri, CFO of Apple, and then Giovanni Caforio, CEO of Bristol Myers Squibb, and then Claudio Del Vecchio. I'm happy he is with us this evening, President and CEO of Brooks Brothers. And we will close the series on 25th of May with Mauro Porcini, Chief Design Officer at PepsiCo. This evening, as Francesco said, our guest is Fabrizio Freda, who was born in Naples and graduated from University of Naples Federico II in 1981. He was appointed President and Chief Executive Officer of Estée Lauder companies on July 2009. He had joined the company in March 2008 when he was appointed President and Chief Operating Officer. Prior to joining the Estée Lauder companies, Mr. Freda has an outstanding 20 years career at Procter Gamble, where he was responsible for various operating, marketing, and strategic efforts. That's all. Maria Teresa Cometto, you know her very well because it's our conductor of every one of these conversation, and so enjoy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your nice words, Consul General Francesco Genuardi. Many thanks to the director, Giorgio Van Straten, for hosting this series. And many, many thanks to Fabrizio Freda, because as Genuardi said, you are so busy traveling all over the world, and you find time to be with us tonight.
With pleasure.
Well, Fabrizio Freda's story is quite special because he is the first non-family member who runs this family company, which is Estée Lauder. Estée Lauder was founded in 1946 by Mrs. Estée Lauder and was always managed by members of the family until 2008, when they hired Fabrizio, and then in 2009 they appointed him as CEO of the company. So Fabrizio, my first question is, which qualities do you think the family found in you so that they could trust you as the new leader of the company?
We should ask them this question, but, but I'll try to interpret what I got. And first of all, to be appointed as CEO of a big company, you need to, people expect you have the skills to manage the business. So that's the obvious part. My specific characteristic is that I manage the business really from a strategic standpoint, and I'm a brand builder. And so in terms of the profile as a leader, I would say ability to manage change and manage strategy and ability to manage brands are the things that qualify for the kind of company we are. However, I don't think that's the most important thing. The most important thing is to manage a family-controlled company. I believe you need to share the family values, the values of the company, and the principles which are behind the company. And that's true for Estée Lauder. Frankly, I believe it's true for every family company. And I did share this value, the value for quality of products and quality of services as the first priority, the value of the big respect for creativity and everything that creativity can do, and the value of respect for entrepreneurship and the ability to continuously lead in change and preceding change, and most importantly, the long-term orientation of the company. Those are the big themes that brought us together. Mm-hmm. And so I would say that, yes, definitely the Lauder family chose me as their partner, and I was frankly very happy to choose them as my partner, because it is very important that this goes on both sides, and this respect goes on both sides. And so Estée Lauder company is a great company, but the Lauder family is an amazing family, and they have a great sense of business. William Lauder always says, we are a family in business, mm-hmm. meaning is the intense participation to mm-hmm. the history, the business life that makes them different from many other people.
In fact, many generations are working in the company
yes,
right now. Yeah. So among the qualities they found in you, they appreciated in you, do you think that being Italian is one of them? I mean, Italy is la grande bellezza, the great beauty. So generally speaking, do you think that being Italian is a plus for you working in the beauty industry?
I think so. I don't know if everyone agrees with that, but I believe that being Italian teaches you many aspects. The Italian culture is filled with beauty, as you say, but most important is filled with culture, and is filled with values of conviviality and understanding the other people. I believe that in all industry, but particularly in the luxury industry, really understanding the values of beauty, conviviality, social elements, basically understanding how life can be pleasant and what people wants to extract out of life, not only in terms of commitment and work, which are common to every culture, but also in terms of appreciating the positive values of life. This is important for our industry, and I think so this cultural element helps. I would say that even the Napolitan aspect, how you call it, I don't remember how you define might be Napolitan, but the Napolitan aspect also, which is, I believe, is the element of creativity and the ability to value creativity and improvisation. And Napoli is a city where obviously there are many difficult things. It's a city where many things can be difficult, and I think Napolitans, particularly people like me that have been growing in Napoli all their youth, is they need to go through very tough challenges to get through it. And so you learn how to fight for doing things, how to get through things to achieve success. There is a beautiful song, I'm sure you all know, that says, if you make it in New York, you can make it anywhere. I always say, this is really easy. If you can make it in Napoli, you can make it anywhere. And
well,
New York is a piece of cake in comparison.
Yeah. Well, New York and Naples are linked in several ways, including the fact that they are on the same parallel, right? Yeah. Although here it's a little colder than in Naples. Yeah.
Unfortunately.
On the other side, unfortunately, talking about Neapolitans, there are also a lot of not very nice stereotypes about Neapolitans. Have you ever had to fight these stereotypes in your long career?
Frankly, not really, because at the end people sees people. And Napoli has obviously many stereotypes and frankly many real issues, which are not stereotypes, are real issues. But at the end, there are so many other positive aspects that the people know also around the world, that then everything depends how you present yourself and what part of the Napolitan culture are you expressing. And I actually make always a point to build on the positive aspect of the Napolitan culture and Napolitan essence, the way I call it. And no, I never had an issue. Actually, I had a lot of appreciation for those. As you can see, I'm very proud of my Napolitan heritage, but I have found that many other people around the world are equally proud and waiting for discovering the best part of it.
Sure. Great. The first year you were CEO at Estée Lauder was pretty tough, I guess, because it was 2009, just in the middle of the Great Recession.
That was a big welcome.
So how did you face that crisis?
So I started, it was just a few days before September 12, when Lehman Brothers went bankrupt. So really 2008. I started in the company as a CEO just before that. And so was really welcoming. You arrive to New York, the center of the world, everything is going well, and then the world seems to crash and collapse in front of you. So very tough situation. And as I always say, in my professional life has taught me that is never waste a good crisis to make all the changes you have to do just faster. And so with hindsight, I believe that at least for me and for the company, this crisis was a very good thing. Because after the first year working with William Lauder and with the other leaders in the company, we had decided the many changes we had to do. And there were many changes we had to do to continue keeping the company growing, making modern, and tackling the biggest opportunity that we had identified. And when you have to do a lot of changes and you are in a successful organization, the resistance to change is enormous. So when the crisis arrived, we just decided to do exactly what we planned to do, just faster. Because the resistance to change was down, and the reason for resisting were out. And so we leveraged the crisis and made all the changes that we had to do, hoping that the crisis would have finished fast. And actually that's the case. And as of 2010, let's say 2010 to today, we had a tremendous run. And the reason for this tremendous run was also the ability to leverage the crisis to change faster.
Well, by the way, people who believed in the new leadership at that time would be very rich now, because the stocks of Estée Lauder since Fabrizio took over to now, they raise 450%, compared to 150% of the general market. So they did a good deal, the Lauder family and the stockholders.
Many investors.
Many investors.
It was a good run.
Well, talking about economic crisis, there is this curious theory, the lipstick effect theory I've heard, according to which even during very bad economic situation, women still keep buying expensive lipsticks. Is that true, and why, in your opinion?
This is very true, and it's called the lipstick index. This was invented by Leonard Lauder in the first crisis around the 2000, when somebody asked him, how is it possible that your business keeps going well and everything is trouble? He spoke about the lipstick index. What is the lipstick index? It's when women around the world have to do sacrifices, cannot afford any more other things they like to afford, a lipstick becomes an affordable luxury, a moment of relaxation, a moment of indulging with myself at the end with a few dollars. Mm-hmm. And so it's very interesting, but when there is a crisis, lipstick sales goes up. And this becomes a affordable luxury moment of relaxation in the context. Now, this is true for lipstick. It's not true for every cosmetic item, however. So, to be very
not
clear.
For for example, I guess not for perfumes, which are very expensive.
It's not true for perfumes because again, the price of the unit of lipstick is very small. There are other items where the unit price is higher. And so unfortunately, they don't go with the lipstick index.
Okay. In these 9-10 years, the digital revolution has affected also the beauty industry. Today, for example, the most popular videos on YouTube are the makeup tutorials by the so-called vloggers, the video bloggers, who have millions of followers. So how do you deal with this phenomenon, with these influencers?
First of all, every company, including ours, had to change a lot in the business model in these new ways. So today, there is a lot of the communication, we call it consumer engagement, that happens through social media. Influencers have a much bigger role than in the past, and is growing every day. So first of all, you need to evolve talent in the organization that are able to work in this new way, and that's what we have done. Second, you need to create the resources in this area, meaning you need to move investment from areas where you're investing in the past to these new areas. And third, you need to create the right support and alliances outside the company to get access to the best external resources in this area. So it's a big transformation. We are in the middle of it. It's going pretty well, but it's one of the most important things. Now, what's happening today, for example, the makeup consumption everywhere in the world, but particularly in the United States, is exploding. And many people ask me why. Why makeup has such but it's huge growth, 12-13% per year. So very strong growth. Why is this happening? I call it the selfie generation. When young millennials have to be always selfie ready, you cannot have a down moment in the day. You need to be selfie ready. You are always ready for selfie. Today, an average millennial has more photographs of herself than her mother in a year in one day. So if you make these due proportions, you need to understand why there is more attention to being in the right shape in every moment. Second thing which is happening is that the Asian consumers, that were historically big skincare consumers, are discovering the power of makeup. And now what is the power of makeup? That's a very interesting consumer insight. Is that the new generation wants results now, immediately. You don't want to be sexy in 7 months from now if you use this cream every day. You want to be sexy this evening. And the makeup or skincare for instant benefits are products that fit this desire much better. And so the ability to do all of this is very much linked to social media. And the last thing I want to say to that is that The social media is the same immediacy. I'm speaking about the product, but it's not only about the product that give immediate benefit, it's the social media that give immediate access, it's the e-commerce, they give you the immediate ability to purchase. Is the change of trend that this happens in a week instead of 7 years. So everything is immediate. And that's a huge change for organization, and the ability to increase speed, to become flexible. And I want to give one example that what we have done on talent. We have done what we call reverse mentorship. You and I talked about that,
yes,
correct?
the first time I interviewed you for Corriere della Sera, you mentioned that. You said that you hired millennials to be reverse mentors to all the top managers of the company, including you.
Including
so
me. I'm learning.
What did you learn?
I've learned, first of all, I do have a mentor. Well, we changed, so I don't have the same we had at that time. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And, I have a reverse mentor.
How does it work?
That we meet, first of all, this person is a young employee of the company, which is in charge to making the CEO updated on everything is happening that I don't see. Mm-hmm. Now, I have the help of my children on that, but she's helping me a lot as well. And so she sends me email, she sends me everything she sees in her life, or we have a meeting every month of about an hour. We meet regularly every month where I listen and I learn, and she tells me, or I would go with her in important meetings where I make big decisions on brands, on things, and I want the point of view. Mm-hmm. And now, in this moment, we have the 270 most senior manager in the company. They have a reverse mentor, which is under 30.
Under 30.
And so when you have all this huge influence of the young generation over the senior generation, you accelerate the transformation.
How do you hire these reverse mentors?
Oh, they are normal hire is new employees that we hire in the normal way. They're brilliant young people that come from MBAs, university all over the world. So it's not a special hiring channel. It's just that we ask some of them to mentor us. Mm-hmm. And by the way, they rotate. So many people have these opportunities, not dedicated to few. They rotate, and there are two benefits. First of all, we are more updated, and they have a much faster understanding of issues. Because all of a sudden, you are young in an organization, you have been working 2 years in a big company, you are exposed to a senior manager meeting where they take very important decisions, and they ask your point of view. Mm-hmm. That didn't happen to me in Procter Gamble many years ago. So it's really a new way to look at things. By the way, this new generation that we call millennial, but basically are all the young people of the world, they actually expect that. That's a big difference. They want to have an impact much faster. Mm-hmm. If they don't, they really don't like the companies that they join.
They leave. Mm-hmm.
They leave if they can afford it, but for sure they are unhappy.
Uh-huh. You mentioned your children. They are in the 20s, so they are millennials. Do you use them as your antenna on the millennials world?
I do. They use me as well in many aspects because, but yes, absolutely. I learned about, when I was their age, I was learning about technology and new things from my father. Now I'm learning from my children. I'm the only generation that never learned from myself. Anything about technology and things is all coming from somebody else. And yes, my children are super important on keeping me awake on the new realities. Frankly, I speak to them, particularly to my older son, which is already out of university. I speak to him about business, about his point of views regularly. And I think this is new. This is new, it is generational. This was not happening before, was not needed. In the past, all of us would do choices that will improve our professional ability based on experience. The experience of the last 10 years was very important to make the right decision for the next 2 years. I would like to argue that today the experience is worth less and less, and more is worth the vision, the idea of a future that today doesn't exist. The world is changing so fast that the ability to see the future and to imagine it is much more important than the experience you had in the last 10 years. And interestingly, the young generation, including my children, can help you in seeing a different future. I call this technically, I don't do strategy by continuous improvement. I do strategy by reverse engineering, meaning I set a vision of the future that I believe is right and then ask myself and my team, what do you need to achieve to get there? reverse engineer what needs to happen. So what we do next year is not the results of last year improved. It's the results of the vision reverse engineer. That is a completely different process. Actually, universities don't teach this methodology, but that's the methodology of the future, which is needed because of the very fast change of society, and the speed of change.
Mm-hmm. Talking about society, and let's talk about societies in the world. The idea of beauty, I guess, is different from America to Italy to China.
By the way, I love the temperature because I always am subject to air conditioning, and here clearly is not the case. So
No.
thank you for that.
Well, you can pick up your jacket if you
I'm
want.
serious. I love it. My team knows it. You know, in the office, I defend myself. I wear a scarf. While here, I feel like in Napoli.
I share. That's a good point. No, we are fine.
I was making this as a compliment.
Yeah.
I was a bit ironical, as always Napolitans are, but it's great.
So going back to beauty, the idea of beauty is different from country to country, culture to culture. What is your approach to this diversity in the world?
Our approach, I mean, there was a moment where many American companies believed that globalization was equal to standardization. I think this is over. Globalization is about respecting the very different realities that are in the world and leveraging these differences and serving the consumers in different way, the way they want to be served. That's even more true for women and for women in the use of beauty and cosmetics. Mm-hmm. Beauty is different. The culture of beauty is completely different in every part of the world.
Can you give us a few examples about the differences between American women, Italian women, in the approach to?
First of all, is very different at which age you are expected to start using beauty products. For example, it's very different culture by culture. A second example is the use of product in, first of all, skincare is 70% of the market in Asia. Makeup is 25%, and fragrance is 5%. In Europe, 50% of the market are fragrances, and then is makeup, and then last skincare. In America, it's more balanced. In Latin America, fragrances are 70% of the market. So the Asian consumer are the ideal skincare consumer of the world. The Americans are the ideal makeup consumers of the world. The Europeans and Latin America are, actually Middle Easterns, are the big fragrance consumers of the world, etc., etc. So the first difference. The second difference is within the same category. If you go to Asia, serums are a huge percentage of the market. Serums in Europe, in Italy, is creams. The Italian women in this room will use probably cream, not a serum. An Asian consumer will probably use a serum, and maybe also a cream. Asian ladies have every morning, every evening, 7 steps of skincare.
7.
7 plus 7 makes 14 per day. An average American, I see a person agreeing, great. And it shows, yeah, I can see that. I can see your beautiful skin as well. And that the...
But is it a matter of skin or culture, what?
First of all, part is a matter of skin, but also is a matter of culture. Is the importance that people give to their skin and how young they do that. For a Chinese woman, skin is a symbol of who she is, even at 20. While for an Italian woman, it's more about limiting the aging effects. So we in Europe fight aging. In Asia, they actually enhance beauty from the first day, and that's a completely different sense of culture. To give you an example, the biggest mascara users of the world are Russian, Nordic, Europeans in any way. The second biggest actually are American, while in Asia mascara is frankly very little. Or who is the biggest eyeliner user of the world? India, as you can imagine. And lipstick, Italians, fantastic lipstick all over, and etc. So it's not true that women have the same look and the same importance. Or take foundation. Foundation is coverage in many parts. Actually, has to be light and transparent in many other cultures. If you are in Brazil and you put a high coverage foundation, you sweat. If you are in Russia, you want a high coverage foundation, etc. So it's not true at all that you can develop a product in New York and ship it around the world. Zero. It's all about local relevancy, and that's why we speak about local relevancy. Now, the moment you think of local relevancy in product, which is the example I'm bringing, think that to do the right product, you need to have consumer insights. You need to understand the culture. You need local people that study the market for you locally and then leverage global corporate resources to deliver to that market what uniquely they want. And that's why we have organization in 45 markets around the world. We sell in 140 markets around the world. And I can tell you the makeup usage of any single nationality and culture around the world, and they are profoundly different. And you know what? That's the joy. The joy is not to standardize the women of the world to one look. The joy is to serve them to be as different as they are and as beautiful as they are.
What about men? Nowadays, men...
That's a different story.
Yeah, but we see that men are using more and more beauty products themselves. They are using creams, they are doing manicure and so forth. Why, in your opinion? Are they becoming more narcissist or more feminine or what?
I'm not sure they're becoming more narcissists. They've always been narcissists. And I think that I'm serious. That's the point. But they're just learning that it's less embarrassing than what they thought to take care of themselves, also in this way. So I see the consumption pattern. Many men use skincare products using the one of the wife. They don't go to the store and buy a product for men. When you put a product for men in skincare to a department store, you don't sell a lot, because very few men will go to the department store to a counter of a brand where the wife buys and asks for a product for men. It's difficult culturally. But if the product is at home, okay, they can use it. The product for men are selling more and more around the world because men are fanatic about convenience. I enter a store, I don't want to have a lot of conversation, I want to buy what I need, I go away, I hate the moment, and that's most of the men are like this. We don't like shopping, we like the result of shopping, but not shopping. And so today, online sales and the new accessibility of product is actually increasing the ability of men to buy. Mm-hmm. So men buy much more online than women. Men access beauty products in a way which is more private to them, much more, and that's why this is increasing. And I think will continue to increase over time. Maybe not in makeup, but in skincare, yes.
What about you? What is your beauty routine?
Is very, very intense, as you can see. And it's very intense. Because as many men, the beauty routine is linked to the shaving moment. Mm-hmm. So after shaving, some of us use creams or whatever, anti-inflammation or whatever we need to use. Now, the issue for me is that I have available many of them. Mm-hmm. And I need to test all of them. So my after shaving moment is very complicated, and there is a lot of learning. But it's
How long does it take?
Very pleasant.
How long does it take?
The after shaving, could take even 5 minutes.
Okay. Talking about different products, I know that you have a big lab close to New York, other labs in the world. But what is the innovation in...
Wait, you took the air off because of me? Okay. I just want to
Didn't change. You can hear very well, right? Okay, everywhere. Yes. So innovation in the beauty industry.
Innovation in the beauty industry. So yes, we have a laboratory in Melbourne, here in New York. We have one in Brussels. We have one in Tokyo. We have one in Shanghai. and several others. Innovation is fundamental for the beauty industry. If you think that beauty is not only an industry where people have a need, a necessity, it's also where people, particularly women, have the pleasure to indulge in the moment of beauty. It's a moment of taking care of yourself. And by the way, men around the room, if you believe that women take care of themselves because of you, you're wrong. And all the insights now I have in quantitative data is women do this for themselves, unfortunately, and not for the men. And that's super important insight to have, because you realize that this is for women, is for themselves. And they want to discover new things, try new things. And then there is another insight, which is, doesn't matter how beautiful a woman is, she believes she should be better. And so the level of unsatisfaction with the beauty is elevated independently from the level of beauty, which means there is always an interest in trying new things, always an interest of discovering new frontiers. So innovation is enormous. Imagine that in our industry, in Estée Lauder company, these are public information, 20% of the sales every year are done by product launched in the same year, which is gigantic. Imagine the amount of things. There's no other industry anything similar to that. And so you need to have great technology innovation, because you want to create breakthrough product that deliver new benefits. You want to have trends, because you want to deliver products which are on trend and is not delivering new performance, but delivering new experiences. And then you need to deliver innovation in services, because we are in luxury, and luxury is a different concept. Luxury is not about products, it's about experiences, and are composed by a product, an education, and a customization, and the care. And so we innovate on all these elements. We innovate. If you go to a MAC store, you don't just buy a lipstick, but you have a makeup artist been educated for years that is going to tell you how to create any look you want to create with this product. Is going to teach you if you want to, or to listen to your needs and to tailor to you. So all these elements, by the way, we invest a lot of money into that. So we don't invest only in the product, but we invest in the education and in the customization. It's the ultimate one-to-one marketing operation. Mm-hmm. So innovation is important, but it's important on all these things, not only on product formulas.
Mrs. Estée Lauder was very focused on that, the demonstrations in the shops and so on. So the company was founded by a woman, Estée Lauder, and also two other famous American brands in the beauty industry were founded by women, Helena Rubinstein, Elizabeth Arden, which are the characters of a new beautiful Broadway show, War Paint.
Yeah.
Have you seen it?
Not yet. Not yet.
It's very funny and very well done. So I mean, I guess that 70 years ago, being a founder, a businesswoman, was pretty tough. What do you think about the role of women in today's businesses as entrepreneurs, CEOs, any company?
I think it's fundamental, and I think the women's are a super important elements of our profession, companies, and things, and we should continue supporting the increased roles of women in our companies. As far as the Lauder company is concerned, we are in a very in a great position. First of all, as you said, we've been funded by women. And second, as I explained so far, our customers are women. And today, about 80% of our global employees are women.
80?
80. Mm-hmm. And when you go to management, because this includes the people in the stores that are in the large majority women. But even when you go to the people in the office, where 60% of people are women. When you go to the board, half of my board is board of directors are women. We go to my diary report, 50% of my diary reports are women. Or if you go to any role in the company, which are more than 200, or senior vice president above, more than 50% are women. So is really, in our case, women are at the company. I mean, there's no discussion. So It's not the question of what we can do more, it's the soul of the company. Women are essential to that soul.
Why do you think in other industries, other companies, the level is much lower? I think it's between 10-20% in the management level.
I think it's a combination of two things. The first thing is that maybe these companies have not been intentional enough on that. I believe the role of the CEO is to drive inclusion on every aspect. Now you are asking about women, but frankly, I drive inclusion on every single aspect. Gender, race, cultural diversity, creativity, sense of international nationality. Diversity is essential because diversity is the center of creativity. If you have people that look all the same, have been educated the same way, all speak the same language, how can you create the new and the difference? I mean, it's very challenging. And I believe that, so diversity is essential, inclusion is essential. Women are the core of this inclusion strategy for us. If it is not happening at a company, it's because the CEO or the senior management are not putting enough determination on that, in my opinion. There is no other reason. Maybe the only other reason which I've seen is that some industries are not liked by women, meaning women don't like the industry. And so in this case, obviously it's natural there will be less women because they're not chosen by women. But that's the minority of cases. The majority of cases is the determination of the senior leadership to have the right level of inclusion.
Talking about creativity, let's talk about art. One member of the family, actually one of the sons of Mrs. Estée Lauder is Ronald Lauder, who is still an executive officer in the company, but above all, he's a great philanthropist, and he's the founder of the Neue Gallery, which is a fantastic museum.
Amazing.
Yes, and thanks to him, we have, for example, the beautiful woman in gold, the Gustav Klimt portrait. I guess you've been to the museum several times.
Several times.
Does art inspire you?
Enormously. Art inspired me, has always inspired me. Now working side to side with the Lauder family inspires me even more because they have an amazing taste, an amazing depth of culture in this world, and I've learned a lot from them in this area, including in the Neue Gallery, which I believe is one of the best museums in the city. And also because the meaning of it, the values which are in it are extraordinary, like the art which is contained in it. So I have enormous personal pleasure. And also art is very close to the company culture, for obvious reason. I don't know if you know, but in our office in the GM building, the stairs that connect the floors have art. And every employee can choose the art, the one in their office, and change it depending on the thing, because the art is for everyone, and the art inspires the creativity and the ability to change art around you, in a way give you the sense that you are expected to change your business. You are expected to change what you're doing. You're expected to lead change. And so creativity, art, inspiration is available for you as far as you lead change.
Interesting. From art to Wall Street. Besides being the CEO of Estée Lauder, you are a member of the board of BlackRock. BlackRock is the largest asset management company in the world. They manage $5 trillion in mutual funds, pension funds, and so on. So what is your role there? What do you do there?
I'm a board member, so like every board member, I'm in charge of governance, and then in BlackRock, every board member has a specific area of competence which contributes to the thinking and to the strategy of the company. My area of company, as I said, is strategy and branding, and so I have hopefully good contribution in this area. Otherwise, governance, I'm part of the nominating committee as well. And BlackRock is an amazing company with an amazing CEO, a very strong management team, and the board is a super professional board. So on top, hopefully, of contributing as a board member to BlackRock, I have to confess I'm learning a lot. I consider this experience a big inspiration also for me personally. first of all, is and to help Estée Lauder companies as well. In a sense, is the BlackRock experience is an amazing window on the world. I really can see what's happening in the economies, governments, all the data points of what's happening around the world. And so I can even better make decisions on my business thanks to the view of the data points that exist in the world that I have to the board. Like every board experience, boards are great when you can contribute to the board and when you can learn from the board you participate to, particularly if you are a CEO in charge. You cannot just do boards where you contribute. You need to get something in exchange to make your job better. And I think I both in this case. So it's a beautiful experience.
Before joining Estée Lauder, you worked for Procter Gamble for 20 years, except a couple of years with Gucci between 86 and 88, right? And you started working with Procter Gamble just after graduating at the University of Naples, Federico II, in Economy and Business Administration. Then you were accepted into the MBA program of Dartmouth, which is a very prestigious business school.
How do you know?
I read it somewhere. I did my homework.
I didn't go there.
No, exactly. The question is, so you were accepted in this prestigious MBA program, and instead when the Procter & Gamble recruiters offered you a job, you accepted it. Why? And have you ever regretted that decision?
Yeah, so there are two questions. Why accept it? It is an interesting question. First of all, while I was waiting to go for my MBA, P&G was recruiting young people to do a seminar. There were 20 people recruited all over Europe, and they invited us to do this one-week seminar. I went. I was recruited, and I went for the seminar, not for entering the company. And then I found fascinating this week, working with them, the seminars. At the end of this week, they were making job offers to the people in the seminar they had selected, and they were kind enough to call me and make a job offer. It was done very, very well, because it was the general manager that would call you. At that time, this guy looked to me like God, being able to speak to me. That was like unhonored. And he told me, no, you are the selected person. You can do a great career in this company. And then I answered, no, I'm leaving. I'm doing an MBA. They said, why are you doing an MBA? To get a job. You have it. I said, okay, because I want to learn more. We are the school of marketing in the world. Because we are the master of marketing. Why are you going to waste a couple of years? I said, that's a good point. Let me think of it. And then I decided that he was right. And so I decided that I should have probably learned immediately on the job. And now your second question, did you regret this? Definitely not. I think P&G is an amazing company. I did learn a lot in these years. The only thing I do regret is the experience. Because now I see my children doing US university. This is a fantastic experience. So I didn't have it. But that's my only regret. It's not the learning. The learning in P&G was fantastic.
What did you learn? One thing that you can remember that you can mention important for your career?
I entered the company, I received, at this time there was no iPads, I received all these books of data written, and somebody asked me to look into all these in 2 days to give an analysis. So after one day, one night of work, I had a problem. I didn't understand something. So I got out of my room, entered my boss at the time room, and I said, Tony, I have a problem. He looked at me and said, fantastic, comes back when you have the solution. And that was my first lesson of what's the difference between university and work. You have to deliver.
Okay. At Procter & Gamble, you worked in various divisions, such as cough and cold, laundry, health and beauty, and your last responsibility was president of Global Snacks. So the leap from snacks to beauty is pretty big. How did you adjust? And was the experience with Gucci helpful in that?
So first of all, you didn't say it, but I also worked in beauty. in P&G as well. So I had an experience in beauty in P&G before, and then a luxury experience in Gucci in the 2 years in Florence. So I had been through both luxury and beauty in my professional life. But your question is from snacks to beauty. Actually, what you describe, working in your professional life on many different categories, from laundry to diapers to cough and cold to beauty, actually this is a gift. Because you learn that business doesn't matter on where you do it. Business is business, and the logic of business, as far as you understand the consumer, your customer, as far as you know how to understand your customer, and as far as you know what is the business modeling that you need to do to deliver to your customer what she or he wants in the best way, you can run any business. And the experience of going through your professional life in running many different businesses and doing it in many different countries, meaning being able to lead people of very different cultures and to lead in situations of very different difficulties. I've been leading businesses which were going fantastic, and then I've been doing an amazing turnaround, and then after that P&G decided I was good in turnarounds, so I continued doing only turnarounds. But the point is, when you do everything, different countries, different cultures, different categories, and business they grow, they go down, then actually that's the best school to be a CEO that you can have. While if you do only one thing, the people that recruit thinking, this person has done fashion for 40 years, so it's good to do fashion for me, very bad idea. I think that the people that have done many things and have a different point of view on things are probably the best people to lead change. And I don't know any company today that can just get leadership that wants to continue to improve what was done for 20 years in the past. The today leaders have to be leaders of change. The best leader of change are leaders that have such a well-differentiated experience that they can see the key points to change, and they can see the key points not to change in any situation.
You mentioned that you worked in different countries. Which ones?
Italy, obviously, for many years, Germany, Belgium, then US, and then I worked, those are the countries where I worked and lived, and then different cities, particularly in Italy, Florence, Rome, Napoli, etc. But then I have also worked in Asia a lot. I think I didn't live in China, but I worked in China both for P&G, I built my snack business in China, and then it was easier for me to build the most amazing cosmetic business we have today in China, because frankly, I built a snack business in China, and I knew a lot of things of the China market that otherwise I would not have known. I worked in Japan, I built many businesses in Japan, then I could build a great beauty business in Japan. So it's not only about living in places, but managing business in different places that make you more of a global leader.
Talking about Italy, I recently discovered that Italy makes 60% of all makeup products of the world. And also many perfumes, skincare, hair care products are made in Italy for global brands, including Estée Lauder.
Absolutely.
Yes, I met some of these companies here in New York in a trade show, and they claimed that Italy is very strong in innovation and in technology in the beauty industry. Is that
It's true. It's completely true, and I would say not only technology, but Italian companies, Italian manufacturers, and third-party manufacturers for us in some cases are in Italy. This company are also good in creativity. They have this unique ability to bring together technology and creativity to create the unexpected. I mean, in cosmetics, like frankly in any consumer good company, you need to be able to connect dots to create the unexpected. You know, P&G had this strong point of view that I used many years. It was consumer is boss. Now, today, in my industry, I believe consumer is not boss, because consumer is boss means knowing the consumer so well and then giving to the consumer what the consumer wants. The reality, you need to surprise the consumer. You know this famous little sentence of Ford, Mr. Ford, that said, If in my time I've asked the consumer what they wanted, I would have given them faster horses. So the point is, you cannot just ask consumer what you want. You need to invent something they don't expect. And in this, the Italian companies are very, very good. And they bring this. And we, for example, in Estée Lauder, we don't say consumer is boss. We say we are creativity-driven, consumer-inspired. So we do study the consumer, but we study the consumer to get inspired. But the moment when then we really change the game is creating the unexpected. And I think this is a strength of Estée Lauder, but it's strength of many Italian companies, and not only the one that work in cosmetic. Actually, I believe this is a strength of Italian companies in general.
However, most Italian companies are very small. They don't grow. They don't become big like Estée Lauder.
Yeah.
Why, in your opinion? Is there, for example, a succession problem, or what else?
All of the above, in the sense that, first of all, the biggest issue is the one you started from. They don't grow. I believe Italian companies are not focused enough on growth, and on growth wherever it is. And so, yeah, it's the focus on growth that would really invite Italian companies to consider more as a top priority versus the profitability or the way to manage organizations is growth. Growth is the essence of everything. The second thing is there is a lot of individualism in Italian companies. It's difficult to imagine creation of big groups. There is a reason why LVMH is in France and not in Italy.
And they bought a lot of luxury companies, including Acqua di Parma, Gucci, and so on. Right?
Gucci
not
is
Gucci,
not LVMH.
Not, yeah, Fendi. I wanted to say
Fendi or Bulgari,
Bulgari,
or Loro Piana, etc. So yes, LVMH is another great group which is created by acquiring or developing companies, but with a big sense of group, creating a group and creating critical mass, creating global scale, while Italian companies are very individualistic. It's one by one and etc. So either they grow, or it's difficult to imagine a lot of alliances and a great group, and the infrastructure are not designed to support scale alliances and groups. So it is an issue, and I think that would be very good if we could unlock this ability to grow and to create alliances. There will be two big enablers to what you said, so to create bigger companies or bigger groups.
Your father was an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
You didn't catch the entrepreneur fever. Have you ever thought of going back to Italy and maybe found your own company?
First of all, I have the entrepreneurial fever. I just use it for Estée Lauder companies. And, I feel I am an entrepreneur, and I act as an entrepreneur. I act like the company is mine. It's not mine. It's of many shareholders, and particularly the Lauder family, but really I have a sense of huge ownership. And my team has the same. So I'm saying this seriously. People sometimes speak about entrepreneurship as something for the entrepreneurial, and senior leader or manager or leader of company are not entrepreneurial. When you have a senior leader of a company that is not an entrepreneurial, you have an issue in that company, because the behavior has to be the behavior of an entrepreneur. So I have the fever, just applied somewhere else. However, I'm learning in these days that the fever that you are mentioning is just gone the next generation, because my son called my job corporate. And he says, I need to create my own company. So just jumped one generation.
So he will start his own startup.
I'm sure he will. By the way, like half of his friends. So
yeah.
This new generation is, unfortunately, many of them, as is normal, will probably, after the startup, join corporate. But still, many of them will try it. And I found this fantastic. Actually, it's great. It's great that a lot of this new generation, particularly the lucky one that can have an amazing education like here in the US, are really not thinking only in getting a job, they're really thinking of creating jobs. And that's a completely different point of view, which I believe is fantastic.
So if not going back to Italy to found your own company, what about at a certain point going back to give back to Italy in some civil servant position?
Why not? Never say no. So yes, one day I may, and definitely one day I will retire professionally and go back to Italy. But I don't think that I'm not giving back to Italy. I believe that the one of us which are representing the Italian model, the Italian thinking, the Italian excellencies around the world, we give back to the Italian image every day in what we do. So I frankly try to give back to Italy even now, even before I do any civil service. I believe I'm giving back just representing the Italian values, the Italian sense of excellence and the Italian style the best way I can everywhere in the world.
Great. Thank you so much, Fabrizio, for sharing your story.
Bellissime domande, grazie mille.
And so, as the director has already said, if you like this, you can come back on May the 25th.
An extra video.
Okay.
So there are 2 videos.